Hey everybody, I am AR Mar, and what I watched today is Reboot, Season 1, Episode 12, Identity Crisis Part 1. We open up on a game, and inside Bob is just relaxing, fishing. His R&R is interrupted by a tank rolling up. At first, Bob's worried, grabbing a grenade and pulling the pin, but then Enzo pops out. We get a bit of an exposition dump here about this game. Enzo feels it's really basic, and Bob's warning him, it's like, even basic games like this are good training. You have to be prepared. After all, one day you might end up in the funhouse. Dun dun dun! Some obvious foreshadowing there, but still pretty fun. Enzo doesn't believe in the funhouse, citing it as a made-up story, a game that just doesn't exist. Fortunately, this exposition dump isn't putting them in any danger, as the user is ultimately quite basic, and unable to even pilot their own tank out from between two obstacles. Bob asks Enzo to put the user out of its misery, but after some shenanigans by a couple British binomes, decides to do the deed himself. At first, Enzo's mad that Bob ended the game on his own and didn't let Enzo take the shot, but Bob reminds him that today is Dot's big day, and they're out of time. We move over to Dot going down a checklist, preparing for this big day. This episode is another example of how good the writers of this show were at getting out exposition without it feeling forced. During the scene, I noticed a small, cute little detail in the frame, a binary dictionary. That's kind of awesome. Something so easy to miss, yet it makes the scene that much more fun when you notice it. Back to what's happening, we get a momentary reality distortion for Dot, leaving both her and the audience wondering, what the hell could it mean? This room full of mega binomes. Is this a vision, or is Dot going crazy from stress? Shaken by what she's seen, Dot gets a bit of comfort, both from her waiter Cecil and, trippy enough, the food on the counter. Life in Mainframe must be pretty weird if even the processed food is mildly sentient. Are you constantly drinking or eating beans whose hope and dreams are vanishing with every swallow? Ugh. Anyway, after that bit of horror, Enzo barges in, and we learn for the first time that Sprite's icons can be removed or even fall off, and just how important those little symbols are. If someone gets a hold of the codes in your icon, they can take control of you. They can access you kind of like a computer with its IP address. Bob checks, of course, that Dot's ready, and they jet off to do whatever important thing it is that they are doing. Turns out the big event she was so nervous about is a big event indeed, freeing an entire sector from Megabyte's control by registering their personal ID codes with the principal office. At this point, my plot sense kicked in, and I became a bit suspicious of this guy. The only sprite in the room with a Megabyte-colored icon. The citizens are naturally scared. It's essentially an occupied village being freed from a dictator, and to get that freedom they have to give up the one thing they have left that is theirs. Dot manages to convince them with a stirring speech, and it's actually a really cool visual as hundreds of lights stream into her pad. We also find out how important this moment is to all of Mainframe, since it's the first time they have ever converted a Megabyte sector. Unfortunately, as the collection finalizes and Dot makes a promise...
You have my word. I will guard these with my very life.
Of course you will.
Man, that green icon binome is a skis. Megabyte's forces attack. Bob and Dot barely escape with the help of the binome skis, taking off through the sewers to try and escape. The oddly well set up raid on this secret meeting. Megabyte orders his men to lock down the sector, determined to make Dot fail and crush her. As his men close in on our heroes, Fong advises destroying the data, instead of letting it fall into enemies' hands. Naturally, Dot won't allow this. She can't accept even that much of a failure. As we see her taking command and just sort of dragging Bob along while trying to make it to safety. During the race to safety, our heroes make some awesome moves. Dot makes some great moves piloting, and Bob, mildly unintentionally, does some really great moves with the weapon systems of the Megabyte ship that they commandeered. As they land outside the border, however, Megabyte appears. It's moments after this that they realize that the files are missing from Dot's computer. All the PIDs are gone. And we can guess who has them. There is one small ray of hope, though. Dot encrypted the file heavily, and it's going to take a while for Megabyte's goons to remove her protection. Moments later, we see the true face of the traitor, and I so called it. It's Cyrus, or as I like to call him, Skeezy.
Thank you, sir. It was an honor to betray my comrades to you, and please call me Cyrus.
The little bastard must have used some sleight of hand when he grabbed Dot's PDA back at the meeting and to take the file. We get another reality distortion flash as our heroes try to figure out what to do. Dot, however, is simply crushed, and at the moment, she can't see how she can fix this. To add on to all of this, a game descends from the sky on top of them. And it's no ordinary game. It's the one talked about as a rumor. The Funhouse. And that is where part 1 of the Season 1 finale ends. Our heroes are as low as they can go and trapped in a game so terrifying to sprites that many write it off as a ghost story. Can our heroes survive the Funhouse and thwart Megabyte's dastardly scheme? Watch my next video to find out. Or watch the show, then watch me to hear my opinion on that. Either way, I will see you next time.